absolute best story time for you guys. You know, like some of you that have followed me for a while, you know how I randomly come in contact with these people that aren't from TikTok, that like they find me, I find them, and we're just guided to help each other, right? Well, there's this gentleman, his name is Vince, but he also goes by VO. He said his grandfather called him VO because he drank a lot of it, so I thought that was fucking funny. He came across one of my videos on the For You page, and it was like a series about, this lighting is like messed up. It was a series about going back in time and helping before an accident, or like preventing it more, saving a life, and sometimes just doing a little bit extra. Like if someone ends up passing away, doing a little bit extra so that you know that you've done everything you possibly can. And he found this series randomly on his For You page, and he was like, you know, I'm paralyzed. What do you think? Like, do you think this would work for me? And I said, hey, I have a cancellation. This was yesterday at 3. I said, I have a cancellation spot. I would love to walk you through this process since you have no idea what I'm talking about and you're open to it. Would you like a session? It's complimentary. He said, yeah, you know, I'm available. I'm ready to try anything, I guess. I mean, you know, what's the harm? So I gave him a call. When we first got on the phone and said hello and stuff, and, you know, I have to explain a little bit about what I do, but the beauty of it all is it's better understood if you keep it simple. Our human minds try to overcomplicate things, and it makes it so it's really difficult to grasp. So with someone who has never heard of me before, it's really simple to explain what it is I do, even though it doesn't make a lot of sense to a lot of people. I guess I shouldn't say that, but it's definitely out there for quite a few people, especially people that are already spiritual or witchy, because the way I do things is not what is written about in that way at all. So the first thing I asked him, and I was like, hey, Vince, so how paralyzed are we talking here? And he said, I'm quad. And I just got off the phone with him, so he gave me the details because he told me I could tell this story. C6 and C7 are the parts of his spine that got damaged. So he had a little bit of, like, he could feel a little bit in his arm, a little bit, like, you know, he could feel in his face, some in his head, like above his neck and stuff was fine, but like he couldn't really feel his fingers. Every once in a while, something somewhere, but you know, not all the way. The first thing I did with Vince, after finding out exactly what he could feel on his body and what he couldn't, is I asked him to say, Spirit, if it's in my highest good, please allow me to hear, see, and feel the truth. I needed him to feel as much of it as possible because, you know, most of my stuff, you feel it going through your body, more so than anything else. I also want to preface this, I did ask my friend Kate to give a little oomph before the session, so if there was anything that needed to be done to help him step more into himself, that she help. And she was like, oh, absolutely. So she was kind of there in the background tuning in, like the communication cords, so everything could go to the right spots. She wasn't sending any extra healing to him. And that's important for me to say, because the very next thing we did, well, of course, asked if it was in his highest good for me to work with him, because that's very big for me. That's what I always do. But the very next thing we did was I walked him through creating his own house cleanse. And the way that I do that is I help you create 4 healings, and then we squish them all together, kind of like layers in a Photoshop, and then you have this massive healing, and then we can start applying it to like your body, your skeletal system, the dream realms, the astral realms, and all sorts of places. When we got to the part of the healing where I want you to think of the ways that you clean your body and you clean yourself, I told him to think about the things before he was paralyzed. So try to think of his shower routine or his like dental routine or any of that while he still had the availability to do so. And I also wanted him to try not to think of the negative parts about how he can't do it anymore. And what happens when I have people think about all these healings and then add it, I can tell by their energy very clearly what their cleaning routine holds, because it's their energy. It, like, I can feel it. And I did feel the remorse, and it was kind of like looking back on it, thinking I could have done more. I didn't appreciate it when I had it. And he was like, yeah, Like, that's the first thing I want to do is take a fucking shower. Like, well, he didn't cuss. I cuss. He didn't cuss at all, actually. I feel like I need to say that. So I was like, okay, well, we're making a healing here. So we're going to ask Spirit to pull out guilt, shame, remorse out of the healing. And we did, and we felt some leave, so that was good. As we're applying these healings to his body, he's feeling the energy go through him. I just double checked with him on the phone. He doesn't feel stuff, guys. He felt the tingles, the heat, the cold. He felt all of it. He felt it going through his body in places where I described I was feeling it, and he felt even more so in different places. It was amazing. We ran the healings all through him. And, of course, then I went and added my own preset healings that I have for nerve damage and bone repair and muscle healing, and my avatar healing that heals stuff, and then, like, some of the other preset healings that are out there, like Stacy's Crockpot healing, and then the attachment removal healing, and all of that stuff. This is an important part of the story. While we were creating his own healing, part of the verbiage in the house cleanse is to merge all entities with their correct dimensional forms. When we did that, I felt like 7 or 8 people that were around him that didn't belong to him that merged back to where they belonged. And I was like, why do you have so many fucking people around you? What is going on? And he's like, well, literally because I can't run away. They just dump their issues on me. I was like, yeah, that's what it feels like. It feels like you're literally a dumping ground for emotional trauma. And he goes, yeah. And I said, well, it feels like you're someone who, that was part of a different conversation, but it ties into this. It's like, I could feel how much he helps people. And this is the only way he can help. So even though they're dumping their emotional crap on him, which is heavy, if you think about air itself being a cubic meter of whatever, pounds per cubic meter, air itself is heavy, guys. So when you have all this shit on your shoulders, it causes nerve damage. It's heavy. That's why it's like when people talk about the gravity of a situation or like, man, that shit was heavy. That's what they mean. It literally is weight that is put on you. It's not make-believe. It's like basic science of like the cubic meter and then the weight of a situation and like weighs on your shoulders. It's there. So we help remove that stuff. That's the work that I do as a healer. That's what I help people with. Okay, anyway, so we needed to set up his soul to have boundaries. So we set it up to where his static cling was in reverse. That way people didn't stick to him. It was like a dryer sheet kind of protection. And he told me on the phone today that someone in his family like called him that he had blocked from a different situation. And they called him from someone else's phone. And he was like, what are you doing calling me from this number? And the person just flat out lied, made excuses, like outlandish excuses, like that someone was tapping into their phone and they don't know how that number got on the screen, like just ridiculous stuff. And instead of getting mad like he normally would, he laughed. So he told me today, he's like, I couldn't believe I laughed. And I was like, well, it was ridiculous. Her lie was ridiculous. He's like, I've never been able to do that before. I would get really mad. So even that helped him, which is amazing. So being on a session with me is like a virtual reality tour. So even if I could just give him the gift of experiencing this energy, feeling it in his body, that would be amazing enough. That could be a dream come true. Like that's just an amazing thing when your body is shut down, when it didn't used to be, and then you can feel things again. That alone is just crazy. And it's not false hope. It's literally like, have you seen that scene from The Secret Garden? I used it in the session, but he hadn't seen that movie, where she goes into the garden and she thinks it's all dead, and then the boy that lives there took a knife and like scraped the twig and was like, there's green underneath there. It's not dead. It's still alive. Being able to feel again in his body is more hope than you could ever, like, it pushes you forward. So that alone, I got to be a part of that. I got to feel him feeling things. Fuck. Man, sorry. just like really hitting me. Okay. Okay. Sorry. All right. So then, like ran the healings through, whatever. And he was feeling the tingles and feeling all the stuff. And I was like, okay, now I need you to tell me what happened in the accident. So he told me the story. He got in a fight with somebody. I don't want to give the whole story because this is personal stuff. He got in a fight with somebody. And at the end of the fight, he ended up going to get someone else food, his kid. And he was like, fine, I'll go get them food. And then he kind of doesn't remember the rest. It's a little bit of a blur, except he hit a tree. And I said, okay, so the first thing we need to do is apply your house cleanse to you, to that person, if allowed, and to the situation, and also the connection between, the relationship between. So we did that, calmed everything down. And I said, now we need to prepare you and the tree for the accident. So activate your divine shielding, guardians, echo suit, exosuit, and extend them over your vehicle. Now we need to activate the tree's personal shielding, guardians, exosuit, and exosuit. So it creates like a bumper car pillow situation. Let's do that. So we did that, and everything was ready to go. And I said, wait, we can do better than that. What would you have done if you didn't go get your kid food? And he's like, well, I would have driven home. And I said, okay, you're going to whisper in your own ear and go, nah, fam, we don't need to do that. Let's get out of here. So he did. And then he got in his vehicle in that timeline and drove himself home. Also, when I took him back there, he was putting himself in a body that was still like in working order. So there's like a feeling of like remembrance of what it felt like to be standing, talking, moving your arms, walking, saying fucking whatever. That movement that you might take for granted, he was able to feel all that, remember it, which is huge. So getting in his vehicle, drove to his house, and then of course we returned soul fragments, released soul contracts, we rippled the healing all the way forward to his current existence. And then, of course, aligned with the timelines and all of that stuff. Then I needed to have a conversation with him about how he helps others. Like all those people that were around him, he's a genuinely, like, helpful person. He's someone who helps people. And he really misses working on vehicles. He used to work on engines, used to work on vehicles. And I said, you still can. I said, Vio, I'm on the phone with you. I'm not in person. Look at all the shit we just did. Did you not feel that through your body? He's like, yeah, I did. And I go, okay, I wasn't in person. Not only that, that was your healing. That wasn't mine. You did that. You did that. I said, the body is made out of carbon-based items. It's moving molecules. So is an engine on a car. So what I want you to do is I want you to envision if someone has an engine problem, and you remember engines, you remember exactly how they work, what they look like, all that stuff. I want you to envision the engine in front of you and imagine yourself working on it. It's not imagination. That's the thing, guys. It's not. They told you it was to keep you locked down. Envision yourself working on the vehicle. I mean, tightening the bolts, connecting the wires, all of the things, changing the spark plugs, changing the oil, everything you need to do all of it. Then align it with the most healed time, like the return soul fragments and stuff, and align it. I'll send you all the information on what to do. Try it. What's it going to harm to try it? Try it. Try it. We copy and paste the work done on my air conditioning to someone else's air conditioning. It worked. I have feedback that it worked at least one time. Maybe theirs was the same exact issues as mine, but I don't know. Fucking try it. Why not try it? So then I got off the phone with him. It was a great session. I could feel like the sweat. Like I was very aware, like I wanted to stretch my legs out and wiggle my toes. I was very aware of my body, but my muscles had not been moving for a while. So that's a huge step. Again, even if it's just that experience, that itself is amazing. Now, here's the conversation I had with Vio today, checking up on him. Hey, how you doing today? Hi, I'm good. I just got up and going here. I felt you doing some work on the engine yesterday. Like I felt you reaching over the car to reach something in the back. It left it in my left leg. And I was like being worn like a backpack. Ha ha ha. How did it feel to try to work with your mind? I had to concentrate hard and try not to forget steps. I think I was working on my big Freightliner truck or my dad's. I said, well, I felt in my body you doing it, and I felt you bring me there for support and guidance, and I felt you keep remembering to take the guilt, shame, remorse out. You did awesome. Keep going, buddy. It's happening. I was thinking about you and asking for your help since I got off the phone with you, and I was feeling better about stuff. It's exciting. Okay, I had my friend help a little because I felt your family was going to get worried with your abrupt change. The way you won't take their shit, the energy of your home, you healing things with your mind. They are going to be very negative about it, so I'm doing back-end work to help. He said, that's awesome, thank you. I said, please remember and know I felt the work you did, even down to the reaching and you having me there. It is real. May I tell this story on TikTok? I can tag you or not. Also, I'm fine with not sharing. It's just exciting. Hell yeah, you can do whatever you want, especially when I start moving stuff. Oh, so like a story time with future updates? That's fun. Do what you were thinking about, but when I do move some things, I want to show people also. I'm excited. Also, I have a great story for when we can talk. Happened yesterday with something else that you helped me with. Tell me, is it easier for me to call? Yes, because it's too much for me to text. LOL. I said, don't worry about the call. Oh, we had talked at this time. And he told me the story about the person in his life with the block and that he was able to laugh about it now. I said, don't worry about the call. We will talk again soon. Okay, thank you. Now, I will say this. Besides doing the hurricane thing, I left my soul with the hurricane, and then I actually went and made sure that my soul focused working with VO again last night while he slept. Trying to give as much support to him as possible. Kate is working on him as well in the background because he's open to it and because I know that that's right up her alley. Not only that, she works on airplane engines. It's just a compatible source. I don't know. It's amazing. It's an amazing thing to be a part of. Being on the planet at this time is amazing. And I needed to tell you guys about it. 1:38. That's my number. That's what time it is. All right. Bye. We'll keep you updated. I was working with my new friend VO and with Kate last night. Now VO is a quad pair. I don't want to say it wrong. C6, C7 quad paraplegic. Is that right? He's paralyzed. Quad paralyzed. Anyway, I have a series that I helped him. It's in my healing story times. Maybe I'll switch it over so we can track his progress. That would be awesome. Well, last night I got the chance to work with him and Kate. Now, Kate is a spiritual healer, but she also works on airplane engines. And what VO used to do is work on engines. So combined with Kate's husband, Shaden, all of us on the phone call were able to tune in, and this is so cool. And it's just, I need you to understand this concept. This is what we do. This is how we do what we do. We were trying to figure out what needed to be healed still. Now, I've already worked with VO on healing his human parts, the muscles, the nerve endings, and all of that. And also going back to heal the event before his car crash. So some trauma healing as well. And we've pushed all of that forward. And he was able to have that experience with me where he could feel the energy running through his body, which is amazing enough because he could feel the energy running through his body. That's insane. So again, on that phone call, I was trying to figure out what more needed to be done. Well, VO, again, understands engines. So we had to find a compatible engine scenario that made sense and figure out what kind of vehicle his soul represents. What's really crazy is, I'm going to sound nuts, but Transformers are real. And I figured out today which Transformer VO is. Rodimus Prime. Okay, so after that part of the information, I don't know how much of you are sticking with me, but I'm going to continue my story like all of you are still fucking here, all right? All right. So we figured out what kind of the Transformer thing came later, but we figured out which engine and which car model VO was. And then we helped him understand that everything that you've done in your current existence can be a healing. So it was weird. So Kate was looking at the engine of what needed to be fixed. I was acting as the engine, acting as VO's body. And I'd be like, okay, so now my left hip hurts. And they'd be like, okay, Kate seeing that it, and then Kate would say, well, I see that is like the rotator cuff or also, or like the rotator, whatever the vehicle thing is for it. I don't know that stuff. And then Shaden, Kate's husband, was saying like, oh, it's in this engine, it's that type of whatever. And then Kate would say, VO, have you ever repaired a rotator, blah, blah, blah. And he'd be like, yes, I have. So then he would apply VO's healing, and then I could feel it fixing in my body, which I was acting as his body. I hope this makes sense. It lasted probably about an hour to 2 hours. And it ended up in me like falling asleep during it too, because I started out on my back and then I ended up being on my stomach while they were healing. And I would just like go, okay, now the bottom of my feet itch. Okay, so now the top of my head feels like it needs to be changed. It'd be like the hood and the tires and the brake lines and the this and the that and the that. And as we were helping VO remember, not only had he fixed those things in the past, but helping him remember it and then realizing that those things can be a healing and applying it, I could, like I said, I could feel it getting healed in my body. Here's the thing. Even if we never, ever, ever get VO to have full function of his body again, which that's the goal, but if we never, ever do, the fact that we are giving these experiences and the fact that I now have a team member that was benched, or so he thought, a new lease on life, and using his skill set in a very new concept and idea that will help heal the world is worth it. It's worth it. Helping people remember their own abilities and power. The shit I do sitting down anyway. I help heal the world and I'm just sitting in my fucking bed or on a papasan or in a swing or on the couch. We can do great things. We are so much more than we've been told. And we do not have to be victims. And VO is a walking testimony of that. Okay. That's it. That's the update. I'll keep you guys updated more. Thanks. Thanks for letting us be a part of it, VO. And thanks for stepping into yourself. Okay, I'm done now. This thing for me always is understanding exactly what a situation in your life comes up, what it means to you in your physical and in your spiritual being. I wish that this was like an easier process, but unfortunately I'm going to have to break it down into everything that I do to make myself aware of and working on what I'm working on. So when I'm talking about the things in your physical world matching your emotions, if you're dealing with plumbing issues at your house, you're probably dealing with stopped up emotions. I'm serious. Being in tune with the universe and the messages it's giving to you is paramount for being aware enough to do the work that you need to do.